Captain J. Kim stood on the bridge of the TSS Dauntless, staring at the black emptiness of space. Through the large window, he could see Saturn's rings glowing in the distance. The ship hummed quietly around him. It was an old sound, like an aging animal breathing. Another exciting day watching nothing happen, he said to himself. The Dauntless was old. 20 years ago, it had been the pride of Earth's fleet. Now it was just a relic, assigned to patrol the outer planets where nothing important ever happened. The ship's gray walls showed scratches and dents from years of service. The control panels, once shiny and new, now looked worn and outdated. Jay sighed and ran his hand through his short black hair. At 42, he had hoped to command one of the new Stellar-class battleships. Instead, he got the Dauntless, a punishment assignment for speaking his mind to the wrong admiral. The door to the bridge slid open with a tired hiss. Commander Supark walked in, carrying 2 cups of coffee. She handed one to Ja. "You look like you need this," she said. Sue had been Jay's friend since their academy days. When he got assigned to the Dauntless, she requested a transfer to join him. Jay never asked why she would give up a promising career for this dead-end post, and she never offered an explanation. "Thanks," he said, taking the cup. "Any updates from command?" Sue's expression darkened. "Yes, and you won't like it. They've extended our deployment by 6 months. Jay almost spilled his coffee. 6 months. We've already been out here for a year. Apparently, they don't even have enough money to bring us home and decommission the ship properly." Sue said, "We're stuck here, guarding ice rocks." Jay shook his head and looked back at the stars. The Dauntless had been built during Earth's first interstellar war with the Kalthiri, an alien race that had attacked human colonies. But before the ship could join the fight, peace was declared. The Dauntless never fired a shot in actual combat. Now, with newer and better ships protecting Earth and its colonies, the Dauntless was forgotten. A rounding error in the military budget. "Captain," called a voice from one of the control stations. It was Jun-Ho, the sensor operator. "I'm picking up something strange." Joe walked over to Jun's station. "What is it?" "I'm not sure, sir," Jun replied, adjusting some controls. "For a moment, I detected energy readings from within the ship, from areas that should be inactive. Probably just sensor ghosts," Sue suggested. "This equipment is as old as the ship." Jay nodded, but something about it bothered him. "Run a diagnostic anyway, and have Min check the power systems." "Yes, sir," Jun said. In the engine room, Chief Engineer Min Lee was already aware that something strange was happening. Min had served on the Dauntless longer than anyone, almost 10 years. He knew every pipe, circuit, and panel. And something was different today. Min held a scanner over an access panel that had never drawn his attention before. The readings made no sense. According to his instruments, there was a power flow to systems that didn't exist on any ship schematic. "Han, come look at this," Min called to his assistant. Security Chief Han Taib put down the tool he was working with and walked over. Han was the youngest senior officer on the ship, just 30, with a serious face that rarely smiled. "What am I looking at?" Han asked. "Power readings from nowhere," Min said. "See this conduit? It's drawing energy, but it doesn't lead anywhere. At least nowhere on the official diagrams." Han frowned. Could it be a security breach? Someone tampering with the ship? Min shook his head. "No, this isn't new. Based on the dust patterns and wear on these access panels, whatever is happening has been happening for years. We just never noticed." His communicator beeped. "Min here," he answered. "Chief, this is the bridge," came Jun's voice. "Captain wants you to check the power systems. We're getting strange readings." Min and Han exchanged glances. "Already on it," Min replied. "I think you should tell the captain to come down here. He needs to see this himself." Captain J. Kim stared at the open access panel, trying to understand what he was seeing. Behind the normal ship systems was another layer, hidden technology that didn't match anything in the Dauntless's specifications. "How is this possible?" he asked. "How could there be systems on my ship that nobody knows about?" Min pointed to several components. "These aren't standard military tech, Captain. They look experimental. And see these markings. This is classified research division coding." Sue, who had accompanied Jay to the engine room, pulled out her tablet and searched through old records. "The Dauntless was built in the final years of the Caltheri War," she said. "There were rumors that Earth was developing new weapons technologies, things that might turn the tide against superior alien forces. But the war ended," Han added. "Peace was declared. And these systems were never activated," Min finished. "They just buried them within the ship's architecture and forgot about them." Jay ran his hand along the strange technology. Why would they hide this? And why on the Dauntless? "Maybe they needed a test platform," Min suggested. "The Dauntless was state-of-the-art when it was built, and now it's a forgotten patrol ship in the outer system," Jay said bitterly. "Does any of this still work?" Min shrugged. "The systems are drawing power, but they're in some kind of standby mode. Without knowing what they're designed to do, I wouldn't recommend activating them." "Agreed," Jay said. "Document everything, but keep this quiet for now. I want to know what we're dealing with before we report it to command." Across the vast emptiness of space, far beyond human-controlled territory, a massive fleet moved silently toward the solar system. The ships were black against the darkness, visible only by the faint blue glow of their engines. On the command ship, Admiral Vex of the Xenovar Imperium studied the holographic display showing Earth's defenses. The Xenovar had conquered 12 star systems in the last century. Humans would be the 13th. "Their main fleet is concentrated around their core colonies in Alpha Centauri," reported the tactical officer. "Earth itself has minimal protection. Just a handful of orbital platforms and a few patrol vessels." "Show me these patrol vessels," Vex ordered. The display changed to show the locations and specifications of Earth's outer system ships. One by one, the tactical officer highlighted them. A corvette near Jupiter, 2 fast attack craft patrolling the asteroid belt, and an outdated cruiser near Saturn. "The cruiser is called Dauntless," the officer said. "An obsolete design from their previous war. No significant weapons, outdated shielding. No threat to our forces." Admiral Vex nodded, his gray skin wrinkling around his eyes. "Begin the operation as planned. Send scout forces to neutralize their early warning systems. We will test their response before committing the main fleet." "And if we encounter resistance?" asked the tactical officer. "Eliminate it," Vex replied coldly. "But I expect none. Based on our intelligence, humans have grown soft in peacetime. They have forgotten the art of war." He turned to look out at his fleet, hundreds of warships, each capable of reducing the city to ash. "The Imperium requires new resources, new worlds to fuel our expansion. Earth is rich in what we need." By the time they realize what is happening, Vex continued, "It will be too late. Their forgotten outposts will fall first, then their colonies, and finally Earth itself." Little did the Admiral know that one of those forgotten outposts, an aging patrol ship called Dauntless, would soon change the course of his carefully planned invasion. Back on the Dauntless, Captain Jae Kim sat alone in his quarters, reviewing old technical documents about the ship. Most of the files were standard specifications, nothing unusual, but one file, buried deep in the archive, caught his attention. It was labeled Project Phoenix and was marked with the highest security classification. Most of the document was redacted, but one paragraph remained visible. "In the event of critical threat to human existence, final fail-safe protocols may be activated. The vessel will adapt. It will evolve. It will become what we need it to be." Jay stared at the words for a long time, wondering what they meant. What was hidden inside his ship? And what would trigger these fail-safe protocols? He closed the file and looked out his small window at the stars. For 20 years, the Dauntless had been a joke, the ship no one feared, the posting no one wanted. Jay had cursed his assignment here every day. Now he couldn't shake the feeling that everything was about to change. The alarm blared through the Dauntless, jolting Captain Jai Kim from his sleep. He rolled out of bed and grabbed his uniform, dressing quickly as the computer voice repeated, "All senior officers to the bridge. Emergency signal detected." 2 minutes later, Jay rushed onto the bridge where Sue was already at her station. "What's happening?" he asked, dropping into the captain's chair. "We received a distress call from the research station on Triton," Sue said. Triton was Neptune's largest moon, home to a small scientific outpost studying the moon's unusual retrograde orbit. "Play it," Jay ordered. The main screen flickered to life. A young woman with terrified eyes appeared. Behind her, people ran in panic as alarms wailed. "This is Dr. Yoon of Triton Research Station. We are under attack by unknown forces. Our defense is air." An explosion rocked the background, and the woman looked over her shoulder. "They're inside the perimeter. Please send help immediately." "They're not human, they're." The transmission cut to static. Silence fell across the bridge. "Last communication was 30 minutes ago," Sue said quietly. "No response to our hails since then." Jay turned to the navigation officer. "Set course for Triton, maximum speed." "Sir," Han said from the tactical station, "we should notify Earth Command before engaging." "Send the message," Jay agreed. "But we're not waiting for a response. That station has 15 civilians. If anyone's still alive, they need help now." The Dauntless's engines roared to life, pushing the old ship to speeds it rarely reached anymore. As they accelerated toward Neptune, Jay could feel a strange vibration through the deck plates, different from the ship's usual tremor. "Min, how are the engines holding up?" he asked through the comm. In the engine room, Min was watching his panels with surprise. "Better than they should be, Captain. We're actually exceeding rated output by 12%, but temperature readings are normal. It's like the old girl wants to run." 6 hours later, the Dauntless reached Triton. The gray, frozen moon looked peaceful from orbit, its nitrogen ice surface gleaming under the distant sun. The research station was built in a shallow crater near the South Pole. "Scan for life signs," Jay ordered as they entered orbit. Jun studied his sensor readings with a frown. "Nothing definitive, sir. There's interference I can't explain." "The station?" Sue asked. "Still intact structurally," Jun replied. "But no power signatures. It's dark down there." Jay made his decision. "Prepare a shuttle. I'll lead the away team myself." "Captain," Sue objected, "regulations clearly state." "I know what regulations state, Commander," Jay interrupted. "But I'm not sending anyone into an unknown situation that I wouldn't face myself." 30 minutes later, Jay, Han, and 2 security officers landed their shuttle 100 meters from the station. Wearing thermal suits against Triton's deadly cold, they approached cautiously, weapons ready. The entrance airlock had been forced open. The metal was not cut or blown apart. It looked as if something had simply peeled it open like the lid of a can. "I've never seen damage like this," Han said, running his scanner over the twisted metal. "Whatever did this has technology far beyond ours." Inside, the station was dark and silent. Emergency lights cast eerie red shadows across the corridors. The away team moved carefully, checking each room. They found no survivors. In the main laboratory, Han stopped suddenly, holding up his hand. "Captain, look at this." On the floor was a body, but not human. The creature was about 2 meters tall, with gray skin and a lean, muscular build. Its face had no nose, just breathing slits, and its eyes were large and black. "An alien," Jay whispered. "First confirmed contact with a new species, and it's hostile." "This one died from a gunshot," Han noted, pointing to a wound in the creature's chest. "At least our researchers fought back." They found 2 more alien bodies and 12 human ones throughout the station. 3 researchers were missing. In the communications center, Jay discovered a recorded message. Dr. Yoon had managed to hide it in a secondary system before the station fell. Her face looked calm, but determined as she spoke. They came without warning. They demanded access to our quantum field research. When we refused, they started killing us. They said they were the advanced scouts of the Xenovar Imperium, and that Earth would soon belong to them. I don't think anyone will find this message in time, but I have to try. They're taking our research data. They're taking some of us alive. May God help Earth if these creatures... The recording ended abruptly. Jay downloaded the message and ordered an immediate return to the Dauntless. As the shuttle docked, Min's voice came urgently through the comm. "Captain, you need to get to the bridge now. We're picking up an incoming ship, and it's not one of ours." Jay rushed to the bridge, still in his thermal suit. On the main screen, he saw a sleek black vessel approaching Triton. It was unlike any ship design he had ever seen, with a predatory look to its lines. "They haven't spotted us yet," Sue reported. "We're in Triton's shadow." "Weapons status?" Jai asked. "Standard armament ready," Han replied from Tactical. But against a ship like that, he didn't need to finish his thought. The Dauntless's outdated weapons would barely scratch an advanced alien vessel. Jay made a decision that would change everything. "Power down all non-essential systems. We'll hide here and observe. I want to know what we're dealing with before we make our next move." As the Dauntless went dark, something strange happened. Deep within the ship's systems, dormant circuits activated. In a sealed compartment that wasn't on any official schematic, a quantum processor came online. The ship's computer began running silent calculations, analyzing the alien vessel's energy signatures, structural composition, and potential weaknesses. The crew didn't notice these hidden activities. They watched nervously as the alien ship landed at the research station. Through long-range cameras, they observed more of the gray-skinned aliens emerging, collecting their dead, and searching the facility. "They're looking for something," Han suggested. "Maybe they didn't get all the research data in their first attack." After an hour, the aliens returned to their ship and departed, heading out of the solar system. "Track them," Jay ordered. "I want to know where they're going." "Sir," Jun said nervously, "I think we have a bigger problem." He pointed to his sensor display. "I'm detecting multiple ships entering the outer solar system. Same configuration as the one we just saw, but larger. Much larger." Jay felt a chill that had nothing to do with his recently discarded thermal suit. "How many?" "At least 12 that I can detect," Jun replied. "And they're on a direct course for Earth." 3 days later, the Dauntless was racing back toward Earth, pushing its engines beyond their rated capacity. Min couldn't explain why the old ship was suddenly performing so well, but no one was complaining. They had sent multiple warnings ahead, but received no response from Earth Command. Either their messages weren't getting through, or something had already happened. "We're picking up a transmission," Jun announced suddenly. "It's being broadcast system-wide." The main screen showed a large room filled with people. Earth's United Council chamber. Standing before the assembled human representatives was one of the gray-skinned aliens, dressed in ornate armor. When it spoke, its voice was deep and cold. "People of Earth, I am Admiral Vex of the Xenovar Imperium. Your planet and its resources now fall under our protection and control. Resistance is both futile and unnecessary. We offer you the opportunity to join our Imperium as a subject race. Your cooperation will determine whether we treat you as valued subjects or laboratory specimens." The alien's black eyes seemed to stare directly through the screen as he continued. "You have 24 Earth hours to surrender your governmental authority and military assets. Those who submit will be treated fairly. Those who resist will be eliminated." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge of the Dauntless in stunned silence. "They're already at Earth," Sue whispered. "We're too late." "No," Jay said firmly. "If they wanted to destroy Earth, they would have done it already. This is about intimidation. They want our resources, our planet. They need humans alive to work for them. What can we do?" Jun asked. We're one obsolete ship against an alien fleet. Joe looked around at his crew, the forgotten officers on the forgotten ship. We fight, he said simply. Earth's main fleet is still at Alpha Centauri. Even at maximum speed, they couldn't return for at least 6 days. We're all that stands between Earth and these Xenovar. Sir, Han said carefully, with all due respect, the Dauntless doesn't stand a chance against advanced alien warships. We'd be destroyed in seconds. As if in response to his words, the lights on the bridge flickered. The ship's computer screens changed, displaying information none of them had seen before. New weapons systems, shield configurations, engine protocols, technology that shouldn't exist on their outdated cruiser. What's happening? Sue asked, staring at her console. Min's voice came through the comm, tinged with awe and confusion. Captain, something's activating throughout the ship. Systems I'd never seen before are coming online. It's like the ship is waking up. Jay remembered the mysterious file he had found. The vessel will adapt. It will evolve. It will become what we need it to be. For the first time since receiving the distress call from Triton, Jay felt something close to hope. Set course for Earth, he ordered. We have less than 24 hours to save our planet. The Dauntless raced toward Earth faster than seemed possible for the old ship. In the engine room, Min stared at his readouts in disbelief. The ship was now moving at twice its maximum rated speed, yet the engine showed no signs of strain. This doesn't make sense, he muttered to his assistant. It's like we're in a completely different ship. New panels had appeared throughout the engine room, displaying systems Min had never seen before. When he touched one of them, a holographic schematic appeared, showing technology far beyond anything Earth currently possessed. Min's communicator beeped. Chief, this is the captain. Meet me in the old storage bay on Deck C. Bring your tools. When Min arrived, he found Captain Jay, Commander Sue, and Security Chief Han already there. They stood before a wall that was sliding open, revealing the hidden room. What is that? Min asked, his eyes wide. I think it's the ship's true command center, Jay said. I found more files in the database. The Dauntless was designed as a prototype dreadnought with adaptive technology. When the war ended, they never completed the final systems. They just buried them in the ship's architecture. They entered the hidden room cautiously. Inside, advanced control stations surrounded a central holographic projector. The room lit up as they entered, screens coming to life with information. This ship was decades ahead of its time, Sue said, studying one of the screens. It was built to learn and adapt to any enemy it encountered. A new voice spoke from the room's speakers. The ship's AI, but different from the basic computer they knew. Combat protocols initiated. Enemy analysis underway. Welcome, Captain Kim. Who are you? Jai asked. I am the Dauntless Combat Intelligence, the voice replied. I have remained dormant until the activation criteria were met. Direct threat to human existence by superior alien force. Han looked at the weapons displays with growing excitement. Captain, according to this, we have energy weapons that could tear through a planet's crust. How is this possible? Theoretical technology made real, the AI answered. My creators built me to be Earth's ultimate defense. The conventional weapons you knew were merely a disguise. Jay walked to the central position in the room. Can we defeat the Xenovar fleet? Unknown, the AI admitted. My systems are still adapting to their technology. But analysis suggests a 27% probability of success against their current forces. Those aren't great odds, Sue said. Better than zero, Jay replied. Which is what Earth has without us. In Earth orbit, Admiral Vex watched the timer counting down to his deadline. The humans had called for emergency meetings, but had given no answer to his ultimatum. Not that it mattered. The outcome would be the same either way. Admiral, his tactical officer reported, we've detected a ship approaching at high speed from the outer system. One of their patrol vessels returning home. Vex asked dismissively, Yes, the outdated cruiser our scouts observed. But its energy signature has changed. It's now reading as something else. Vex frowned. Show me. The tactical display revealed the approaching ship. It still looked like the old human cruiser, but its power readings made no sense. They fluctuated and changed as if the ship was reconfiguring itself. Curious, Vex said. Send 2 warships to intercept. I want to see what this vessel can do before we begin our assault on Earth. 2 of our warships have changed course. John reported from his station in the new command center. They're heading directly for us. Jay took a deep breath. This is it. First contact turned into first combat. Should we try to avoid them? Sue asked. We're still learning our own capabilities. No, Jay said firmly. Earth has less than 6 hours before their deadline expires. We need to show these Xenovar that humans aren't easy prey. The crew took positions at the advanced control stations. Everything felt new and strange, yet somehow familiar, as if the ship was helping them understand. Weapons online, Han reported, though I'm not entirely sure what most of them do. The ship will guide you, the AI said. Trust your instincts and the integrated neural interface. Min laughed nervously. Neural interface. No one said anything about. He stopped mid-sentence as his console seemed to merge with his thoughts. Suddenly, he understood the engine systems perfectly. Oh, that's different. The Xenovar ships came into visual range. They were sleek, black vessels shaped like arrowheads, bristling with weapon ports. They're charging weapons, Han warned. Defensive systems ready, the AI announced. Analyzing enemy weapon signatures. The first Xenovar ship fired. A bright beam of energy shot toward the Dauntless. In normal circumstances, such a weapon would have vaporized the old cruiser instantly. Instead, a previously invisible shield flared to life around the Dauntless. The beam hit it and seemed to be absorbed, the shield glowing brighter. Shield integrity at 92%, the AI reported. Energy from attack captured and redirected to weapon systems. Jay felt a surge of confidence. Return fire, he ordered. Han's fingers danced across his console. The Dauntless hummed as energy gathered at points along its hull. Then, with a sound like thunder, beams of blue-white light erupted toward the Xenovar ships. The first beam hit the lead ship's shields, which flickered and failed. The second beam cut through the ship's middle section, slicing it nearly in half. The Xenovar vessel exploded in a ball of blue fire. The bridge crew stared in amazement. Did we just? Sue began. 1 down, Jay confirmed, his voice steady despite his shock. 1 to go. The second Xenovar ship launched a volley of missiles. The Dauntless twisted with impossible agility for its size, evading most of them. Those that came too close were destroyed by point defense lasers that no one knew the ship possessed. Counter-attack pattern, Jay ordered, feeling the ship respond to his thoughts as much as his words. The Dauntless accelerated directly toward the enemy ship. At the last moment, it veered aside, firing constantly. The Xenovar vessel's shields collapsed under the barrage. A final shot from the Dauntless struck its engine section, causing a cascade of explosions that engulfed the entire ship. Silence fell in the command center as the crew absorbed what had just happened. They had destroyed 2 advanced alien warships in less than 5 minutes. Status report, Jay finally said. All systems functioning at 96% efficiency, the AI responded. The encounter has provided valuable data on Xenovar technology. Adaptive systems are incorporating this knowledge. Combat effectiveness has increased by 22%. The rest of the Xenovar fleet has noticed us, Jun reported. All ships are breaking orbit around Earth. They're moving to intercept. Jay looked at his crew. Their faces showed a mixture of fear and determination. This is what the Dauntless was built for, he said. To protect Earth when nothing else could. Captain, Sue said, Earth Command is hailing us. They're demanding to know what we're doing. Jay smiled grimly. Tell them we're doing our job. And tell Admiral Park I'm sorry about that argument last year." Admiral Vex watched in stunned disbelief as the tactical display showed the destruction of his 2 warships. It should have been impossible. The human vessel had been scanned thoroughly. It was obsolete, harmless. "All ships, attack formation," he ordered. "Destroy that vessel at all costs." His second-in-command approached cautiously. "Admiral, perhaps we should reconsider our approach. This ship has capabilities we didn't anticipate." "It's 1 ship against 10 of ours," Vex snapped. "No matter what surprises it holds, it cannot stand against our full force." On the main viewer, the human ship approached. It looked different now. Its hull seemed to shimmer and shift, sections reconfiguring themselves. Weapon ports had appeared where none existed before. It no longer resembled the outdated cruiser they had dismissed. "The humans have hidden their true technology from us," Vex realized aloud. "This changes the calculation." He opened a channel to the approaching vessel. "Human ship, this is Admiral Vex of the Xenovar Imperium. You have demonstrated impressive capabilities. The Imperium recognizes worthy opponents. Stand down, and we will negotiate new terms with your planet." After a moment, a response came through. The face of a human male appeared on screen. "This is Captain Jai Kim of the Earth ship Dauntless," the human said. "Your new terms are simple. Leave our solar system immediately and never return. You have attacked our outposts, threatened our planet, and killed our people. There will be no negotiation." Vex's skin darkened with anger. "You are brave, Captain, but foolish. 1 ship cannot defeat an empire that spans 12 star systems." The human's expression didn't change. "We're about to find out if that's true," he said. "Dauntless out." As the communication ended, Vex turned to his tactical officer. "All ships, concentrate fire on that vessel. I want it destroyed now." Aboard the Dauntless, Jay watched as the 10 remaining Xenovar ships formed an attack pattern. "They're coordinating their fire," Han warned. "Even with our new shields, we can't absorb that much energy at once." "We don't need to," Jay replied. "Evasive pattern Delta." Han. "Target their lead ship. Aim for the command section." As the Xenovar fleet opened fire, the Dauntless moved with impossible speed and grace. It slipped between energy beams, absorbing some, deflecting others. "The ship is learning with each attack," the AI announced. Xenovar weapon effectiveness decreasing by 8% per minute. The battle had begun, and Earth's fate hung in the balance. But for the first time since the crisis began, Jay felt true hope. The Dauntless, the ship no one feared, was becoming the weapon humanity needed. And the Xenovar were about to learn why humans should never be underestimated. The space around Earth lit up with weapons fire. 10 Xenovar warships against 1 human vessel. The odds seemed impossible. Yet the Dauntless moved like a dancer between the deadly beams, its hull shimmering as it continued to change and adapt. "Direct hit to our port section," Han called out as the ship shuddered. "Shield integrity down to 78%. "Rerouting power," Min responded from his station. The ship's systems flowed through his mind like a living thing. He could feel the damage and direct repairs instantly. Jay gripped the arms of his command chair. "Status of enemy vessels." "Their shields are coordinated," the AI responded. "They're learning from the first 2 ships we destroyed." Sue studied her tactical display. "We need to break their formation. If they stay grouped like this, they'll eventually overwhelm us." Jay thought for a moment. "Min, can we use Neptune's gravity to increase our speed?" Min nodded, understanding immediately. Slingshot maneuver. It could work. "Set course for Neptune," Jay ordered. "Maximum speed." The Dauntless turned away from Earth and accelerated toward the outer planets. The Xenovar fleet followed, exactly as Jay had hoped. "They think we're retreating," Jun said with a small smile. "Let them think that," Jay replied. "Han, prepare all weapons for a concentrated burst when I give the order." As the chase continued, Earth faded to a bright dot behind them. The Xenovar ships were faster, gradually closing the distance. "They're gaining on us," Sue warned. "Good," Jay said calmly. "Let them get closer." Neptune's blue sphere grew larger on their view screen. The Dauntless curved around the gas giant, using its massive gravity to accelerate even faster. The maneuver was dangerous, pushing the ship's structural integrity to its limits. Hull stress approaching maximum, Min warned as the ship groaned around them. "Hold it together," Jay whispered, patting the console beside him. "Just a little longer." The Dauntless completed its slingshot around Neptune and suddenly reversed thrust, spinning to face the pursuing Xenovar ships. They weren't prepared for the maneuver and flew past, momentarily exposing their rear sections. "Now," Jai shouted. Han fired everything the Dauntless had. Energy weapons, missiles, and devices. No one on the crew could name all struck the Xenovar ships simultaneously. 3 enemy vessels exploded immediately. 2 more spun out of control, critically damaged. 5 down, 5 to go, Sue announced. The remaining Xenovar ships regrouped quickly. They had underestimated the human vessel once. They wouldn't make that mistake again. Admiral Vex's face appeared on their communication screen. His gray skin was darker with rage, his black eyes burning. "Impressive tactics, Captain," he said. "But this game ends now. You've forced me to use our most destructive weapon. Your primitive planet will pay the price for your resistance." The transmission cut off. On their sensors, one of the Xenovar ships broke away from the others, turning back toward Earth. "They're sending a ship to attack Earth directly," Sue said. "We can't let that happen," Jay responded. "Jun, plot an intercept course. Min, give us everything the engines have." "What about the other 4 ships?" Han asked. "They'll follow us, which is exactly what we want," Jay replied. "Away from Earth." The Dauntless shot forward, pushing ahead of the Xenovar forces. The ship that had turned toward Earth was moving fast, but the Dauntless was catching up. "Captain," the AI said suddenly, "I analyzed the enemy vessel's energy readings. It's preparing to use a gravitational collapse weapon, capable of destroying an entire planet." The crew exchanged shocked looks. "Can we stop it?" Jai asked. "Yes, but it will require redirecting 94% of our power to weapons. That would leave our shields at minimal strength." Jay didn't hesitate. "Do it. The other 4 ships will catch up to us in 40 seconds, Han warned. "Then we have 40 seconds to save Earth," Jay replied. The Dauntless closed on the lead Xenovar ship, its weapon systems charged to levels that made the entire vessel vibrate. The ship was pushing itself beyond safe limits, but no one mentioned it. They all knew what was at stake. "In range in 5 seconds, Han announced. 4, 3, 2, 1. "Fire," Jay ordered. The Dauntless released a concentrated beam of energy, unlike anything the crew had seen before. It cut through space like a spear of light, striking the Xenovar ship at its center. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the alien vessel seemed to collapse inward before exploding in a blinding flash. "Target destroyed," Han reported, his voice hoarse with relief. "The other 4 ships are within firing range," Sue warned. "Our shields are still at minimum." "Brace for impact," Jai shouted. The Xenovar vessels opened fire all at once. The weakened shields of the Dauntless couldn't block all the energy. The ship rocked violently as hits registered across its hull. "Multiple hull breaches," Min called out, sealing affected sections. Jay was thrown from his chair as a particularly strong hit shook the ship. He pulled himself back up, blood trickling from a cut on his forehead. "Return fire," he ordered. "Target the closest ship." The Dauntless fought back, its weapons still deadly despite the damage it had taken. One of the Xenovar ships exploded under the assault. 3 remained. "Captain," the AI's voice was different now, almost concerned. "System damage is extensive. Continuing combat at current parameters will result in ship failure in approximately 6 minutes." Judd looked around at his crew. They were battered but determined. None showed any sign of giving up. "We need a new approach," he said. "Min, can we reconfigure our power core to create a feedback pulse?" Min's eyes widened. "You mean create a controlled overload?" "It could work, but it would be a one-time weapon. And we'd need to be close to the enemy ships, very close." "How close?" Jai asked. "Point-blank range," Min replied. "Basically, we'd need to ram them." Su turned to Jai. "Captain, that's suicide." "Not necessarily," the AI interjected. "I can reconfigure the remaining escape pods to create a protective cocoon for the crew. Survival probability would be approximately 63%. That's better odds than Earth has if we fail," Jay said. "Prepare the feedback pulse. Everyone else, get to the escape pods." "Sir," Han said firmly, with respect, "we're staying with you." The others nodded in agreement. Jay felt pride swell in his chest. "All right then. Let's finish this. Set course directly for the lid ship." The Dauntless turned and accelerated toward the remaining Xenovar vessels. Its engines flared with blue fire as it pushed to maximum speed. "They're trying to move out of our path," Jun reported. "Stay with them," Jay ordered. "Don't let them escape." The Dauntless chased the lead Xenovar ship, which fired continuously in an attempt to stop the human vessel. Damage reports flashed across Min's console as the ship took hit after hit. "Power core reconfigured," Min announced. "Feedback pulse ready. We need to be closer." "Almost there," Jay said. The enemy ship filled their view screen now. "Just a little closer." The Xenovar vessel tried one last desperate maneuver to avoid collision. It wasn't enough. The Dauntless clipped its rear section, sending both ships spinning. "Now, Min," Jai shouted. Min activated the feedback pulse. Energy surged from the Dauntless's core, creating a sphere of destructive force that expanded outward. The pulse engulfed the 3 remaining Xenovar ships. Their shields failed instantly, and their hulls buckled under the energy wave. Inside the Dauntless, systems failed as the pulse drained the last of the ship's power. The lights dimmed, and emergency systems activated. The crew held onto their stations as the ship spun through space. "All enemy vessels destroyed," Han reported, reading from his backup display. "We did it." Ja looked around at his crew, battered, bloodied, but alive. The ship that no one had feared, the posting no one had wanted, had just saved Earth. "Send a message to Earth Command," he said to Su. "Tell them the threat is neutralized." Word spread quickly through the Xenovar Imperium. An entire battle fleet, 10 of their most powerful warships, destroyed by a single human vessel. Panic gripped their leadership. If the humans had more ships like the Dauntless, the Imperium itself could be at risk. Admiral Vex was never found. It was assumed he died with his ship. Without his leadership, the invasion plans fell apart. 3 weeks later, after emergency repairs, the Dauntless limped back to Earth orbit. It was met by a fleet of escort vessels and crowds of cheering people who watched on view screens around the world. In the repaired command center, Jay received a message from Fleet Command. He read it and laughed. "What is it?" Su asked. "They're promoting all of us," Jay said. "And they want to study the Dauntless to understand its technology." "Will they build more ships like this one?" Han asked. Ja looked around at the ship that had become more than just metal and circuits. "They can try, but I doubt they'll succeed. The Dauntless is one of a kind." As if in agreement, the ship's lights brightened briefly. Earth celebrated its unlikely heroes, the forgotten crew on the forgotten ship that had saved humanity. And across the stars, word spread of the humans and their mysterious vessel. The Xenovar Imperium, which had conquered 12 star systems through fear and superior force, began to crumble as its subject worlds rebelled, all because of a ship no one feared, until it destroyed an empire.